For some time, the Western world has been dominated by philosophical materialism, which is the belief that matter is the fundamental primitive of existence and that the laws of physics control all matter. Since our brains are made of matter, materialism demands that everything about us, including our thoughts, are also strictly controlled by physical laws. But is this true? For the sake of argument, let's assume that this is true and see if anything crazy happens. But first, let's have a look at what is meant by the word knowledge. What is knowledge? Well, simple knowledge can be gained through perception, but rational knowledge is composed of accumulated inductive and/or deductive inferences, where relationships between ideas are combined in logical ways in order to form new conclusions. This continues, often over great periods of time, as we build on previous information, and eventually we have enough structured information, knowledge, that we can build complex technology like computers, for instance, where each component is the result of much accumulated knowledge. But how would this process of knowledge accumulation work if strict materialism were true? If all of our thoughts are determined by physical processes, then, as materialism claims, our mind itself is epiphenomenal, meaning that it is just a byproduct where there is no cause and effect. If there is no cause and effect possible with our mind, then the mind cannot create inferences at all. It can't create anything at all. But if the mind cannot create logical inferences, then complex knowledge and therefore technology would not exist. Yet complex technology does exist, so one of our steps must be wrong. But which one? What if, instead, purely physical deterministic processes create logical inferences? This would dictate that these logical inferences that produce knowledge and advanced technology are produced directly from physical laws, which would mean that the intelligence necessary to produce all complex things was built into the laws of nature. But this would be an argument for a form of intelligent design, which begs the question as to who is the intelligent designer. This requirement for an intelligent designer for the laws of physics is completely counter to materialism, which means that deterministic reasoning, quote unquote, also leads to a contradiction. In the first case, our mind is incapable of cause-effect inference, which is a contradiction, and in the second case, deterministic inference leads to a contradiction. Given both, our mistake must be in our initial assumption that strict materialism is true, as assuming it to be true necessarily leads only to demonstrably false outcomes. In short, computers exist, therefore philosophical materialism must be false. Well, some might argue that there is a possibility that inference could derive from randomness that exists at the quantum level. Yet, randomness is the exact opposite of the order required for logical inference, so there's no support for this position either. What this means is that any way that you try to explain reasoning, using randomness, non-causality, or determinism, all demonstrate that a belief in philosophical materialism leads to outright contradictions, meaning that it is our initial assumption that is flawed, and strict materialism is, in fact, false. So how do we explain the obvious fact that our advanced technology is composed of a tremendous construction of logical inferences? If logical inferences cannot be determined or random, as has been shown, then the only other possibility is that there must exist some degree of freedom of thought to allow for valid logical inference. And these inferences must inspire mentally causal actions in order to continue to build knowledge. Such mental causation also directly contradicts materialism, yet here we are as there is no other possibility that remains in order to explain the existence of abstract knowledge other than some form of freedom of action. And how that is possible will be left to future videos, along with many other arguments against materialism. We need to shed false beliefs, for clinging to them only clouds our view of that which is real. If you'd like to learn more, please subscribe to Consciousness Squared.